great philosopher G.K. Chesterton said that education is the soul of society that passes from one generation to another. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Goeiemiddag, dames en heren. Wamkile, Kulonsito, Nkulu, Loanji. Laat my toe julle warm te verwelkom by die Huguenot College se rector, Professor Rita Bloem's rectorale intrede. It is my privilege to welcome you this afternoon to this esteemed occasion in the history of Huguenot College. As we commence with the program for this afternoon, I want to kindly request all guests to remain standing for the singing of our national anthem.
Liefdevolle Hemelse Vader, ons dankie vir hierdie besondere dag in die lewe en loopbaan van Rita. Ons dankie vir die gawes waarmee U vir haar geseën het. Baie dankie dat haar familie ook vandag in hierdie besondere mylpaal kan deel met die kroonspan op 'n toegewyde akademiese loopbaan. Here, ons is vandag ook dankbaar saam met Rita se familie, haar man François, 34 jaar aan haar sy staan, vir François Junior en Joa, wat baie keer in hulle groot word jare by 'n studeerkamer deur moes omdraai. Vir Rita se ouers, Dr. Boet, Dr. Annie Skoeman, wat die grondslaaf vir 'n akademiese loopbaan by haar gelê het, en haar susters Annelie en Annette. Ons bid ook vir spoedige herstel vir haar pa. Lord, we thank you for the contribution that your servant Rita has been privileged to make in the field of social work at various institutions as well as countrywide on the African continent and abroad. We thank you also for the way that she could build up our society during a lengthy academic career. Lord, we praise you for the array of talents that you have blessed her with, behind a book or a computer, also in the lectern and in meetings. Perhaps the most important of everything is that you have granted Rita the ability to never leave a task unfinished. Lord, Lord, we pray for this institution of higher learning, that the teaching and research that are being done here would be to honor your name and to build up your church and our society. We pray for all the staff and students that contribute to maintain an excellent standard of work. En Here, waar dit gister Hemelvaart was en ons nou binne die 10 dae van Pinkster staan, bid ons, o Heilige Gees, dat U vir Rita en haar familie en haar span by Huguenot College ryklik sal seën. Nkosi usisikelele ukuze sibe nakho ukuba yintsikelelo nakwabanje. En daarmee bid ons, seën ons die enige God om verander tot 'n seën te kan wees. Amen.
Baie dankie weer, dominee. Ons gaan nou luister na die musieketing van die Quartetta Quartet van die Frank Peterson Musiekskool in Peel. We will now listen to the music item by the Quartetta Quartet of Frank Peterson Music School in Paarl. Please enjoy. Janse van Rensburg, die voorsitter van die direksie by die Huguenot College. Baie dankie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a privilege to welcome every one of you at this very special occasion. I'm so glad that you are here. We are all glad because we are celebrating. We are celebrating the Huguenot College, the achievements of the college, but we are also celebrating the achievements of our newly appointed rector, Professor Rita Bloem. Ons wil graag 'n spesiale woord van welkom rig aan enkele spesiale gaste vanmiddag hier. Ek wil graag die volgende persone noem. Professor Nelis Niemand, ons uitgetrede rektor. Dit is 'n voorreg om hom by ons te hê, die lede van die direksie wat hier is en hulle gades. Dan vir Dr. Elna van Slicht, ou bekende by Huguenot College, voormalige personeellid, tans die burgemeester van die Wynland Distriksmunisipaliteit. Dit is 'n absolute voorreg om hier te hê. Professor Marigium van der Westhuizen, departementshoof vir maatskaplike werk by die UWK. Marigium is iemand wat my persoonlik na die hart lê. Marigium, waar's jy? Baie welkom. Baie bly om jou hier te hê. Ook die studentenraadsverteenwoordiger Claudine Boysen, ons studente is uit die aard van die saak hoogste in ons fokus, eerste, en dit is belangrik om hulle verteenwoordiger by ons te hê. Welkom Claudine. Dan wil ek graag baie welkom sê aan Dr. Annie Schoeman. Sy is die moeder van Professor Rita Bloem, akademikus in haar eie reg, oor baie jare groot akademiese bydraes gemaak. Dis vir ons jammer dat Dr. Boet nie hier is nie, hy is tans in die hospitaal, ons moet by herstel vinnig. Ek weet, dis vir julle groot geleentheid, en daarom is ons baie bly dat julle hier is. Fransjo, Professor Bloem se eggenoot, Johan, en haar metgesel Adam, en haar twee susters, Annelie Lou en mevrou Annette van Deventer. Baie welkom vir julle, haar familie, wat die hele pad saamkom en saam met haar presteer, ook vandag saam met haar presteer. Hier is ook mense van wat akademici, so ons wil 'n spesiale verwelkom aan julle. An institution like this is comprised by several communities. You've got your student community, your staff community, but then you have an academic community. A community that you need to support, to embrace, but also to expose you to the wider world of thinking in the fields that you study and do research. So we are so glad to have you with us. Ook baie vriende wat hier is, persoonlike vriende van Professor Bloem. En dan loop hulle so oor mekaar, because they are friends here who are also academics. She told me there are some friends from the University of Potch. When you see where you are sitting, you are very welcome. Ons is baie bly julle is hier. En ons is so 'n bietjie brekkerig vandag, want julle verlies is natuurlik nou vir ons baie lekker om vir julle so 'n bietjie te kan glimlag, maar ons is ook baie dankbaar vir die geweldige bydraes wat julle gemaak het. Ook tot haar vorm en ontwikkeling en sy getuig daarvan. Professor Bloem bring 'n groot hoeveelheid insigte en kundigheid na ons toe, akademiese kennis. Ons het van die eerste dag wat sy ingestap het by ons instelling, besef sy gaan baie waarde toevoeg tot hierdie instelling. Maar daar is ook 'n klopie praktiese goed. Sy het sommer met baie praktiese voorstelle ons opset al bietjie begin inkleer, verder inkleer, want hy is ingekleer. Onder andere deur die college lied weer op ons tafel te sit. Die college lied het in onbruik geraak. Hy is geskryf deur Dirkie de Villiers, D.I.C. de Villiers, die seun van dominee M.L. de Villiers, wat die Afrikaanse deel van ons volkslied geskryf het. Hy het in Wellington groot geword en was baie aktief met Afrikaanse kerkmusiek en kultuurliedere. En in 'n studie oor sy werk het dit gebleik dat die Huguenot College lied deel was van sy bydrae tot musiek. En ons gaan dit weer begin sing. En ons studente en almal van ons gaan dit sing. So daar's baie praktiese goed. Maar vriende, professor Bloem is 'n akademikus met uitnemendheid met 'n uitnemende akademiese rekord. Sy het op BSc-graad cum laude geslaag, biomaatskaplike werkgraad in 1989 by Universiteit Pretoria. Ook al BA Honors in Industrial Sociology cum laude, MA in Sosiologie cum laude by Universiteit Pretoria, MSB in Sosiale werk, maatskaplike werk cum laude by die Universiteit van Pretoria en 'n PhD in Social Work, maatskaplike werk, het sy ontvang in 2004 by die Universiteit van Pretoria. Akademiese dienste strek oor 'n klomp jare by die Universiteit van Pretoria as dosent in sosiologie. Dan het sy 'n periode gehad wat sy in spelterapie haar aandag daaraan gewy het en vir 5 jaar tydperk as uitvoerende bestuurder van die Sentrum vir Spelterapie en Opleiding gedien het. Daarna het sy by die Huguenot College tydperk deurgebring as direkteur van die Instituut vir Kinder-, Jeug- en Familiestudies. Maar sedert 2011 was sy verbonde aan die Noordwes Universiteit as akademiese leier en navorsingsdirekteur. Nou as 'n mens na haar CV kyk, dan ontdek jy dat die pos wat 'n mens probeer verstaan hoe 'n universiteit kan regkry om soveel verantwoordelikhede in 'n pos saam te bondel, dan as jy daarna kyk en jy sien wat dit behels, die pos van academic leader and research director, dan kom jy agter dat sy oneindig goed toegerus is in hierdie tyd om presies te doen wat van haar verwag word nou as rektor van hierdie instelling. Ons het as direksie vir haar baie helder mandaat gegee. Die mandaat is om ons akademiese aanbod uit te brei, te vergroot. Daar's ook ander aspekte wat ons graag wil hê sy moet aandag gee van akademiese onderrig. Maar wat onder andere baie belangrik is dat ons gemeenskap van ondersteuning en betrokkenis, akademies en al die gemeenskap, dat ons dit verbreek. En ons glo sy gaan daarmee baie sukses behaal. Ons sien geweldig baie daarna uit. Die Huguenot College het oor die afgelope jare dramaties ontwikkel. Ons het onder baie bekwame leiding van professor Nelis Niemann het ons 'n reuse tree gegee op pad daarna om 'n baie sterk akademiese instelling te word. Die bydrae wat ons reeds lewer is omvangryk en het groot betekenis. Ons sien ook uit na 'n nuwe periode waarin daar verdere ontwikkeling sal plaasvind, nuwe denke sal kom. En ons is absoluut oortuig dat ons die regte persoon om dit moontlik te maak. Ons vier vanaand as college gemeenskap, vandag vier ons die kwaliteite van 'n uitnemende akademikus en bestuurder, professor Rita Bloem. Baie welkom by die geleentheid.
Baie dankie weer eens aan dominee Jansen van Rensburg. Of Nelis Niemann. Nou, toe Prof Rita Bloem vir my die program stuur en ek sien dat daar is 'n groep wat ons musiek gaan speel, het ek 'n bietjie gesukkel om die groep se naam uit te spreek. Ek het eers gedog as Quartet of Quartet, en toe hulle my sê nee, dis Quartet. Maar dit is nogals 'n tolknoepel vir iemand wat nie so baie Italiaanse of sulke woorde spreek nie. Maar ons gaan nog weer luister na hulle. And they will grace us once more with the beautiful sounds. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy it. Thank you. klanke van die Quartet laat my dink aan Terence Appel se program wat hy op RSG het, Musiekbonbons. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the point in our program where Professor Nelis Niemand, the outgoing rector of the Huguenot College, will present the Rector's Robe to Professor Rita Bloem, and will also then speak a few words, which will be followed by Prof. Rita Bloem's inaugural address themed Rooted for Public Good, Reimagining Integrity, Justice and Service in the Private Higher Education. Geachte gasten, dames en heren, ons het die oomblik in die program bereik waar Prof. Nelis Niemand, die uittredende rector van die Huguenot College, directorale toog aan Prof. Rita Bloem gaan voorhou, wat gevolg sal word deur Prof. Bloem se intrede met die tema gewortel vir publieke welvaart, herdenking van integriteit, geregtigheid en diens in private hoër onderwys. I now call on Prof. Nelis Niemand to the podium. Thank you.
Baie dankie agbare seremoniemeester, Prof. Rita Bloem, geëerde gaste en collega's, studente, vriende, dames en here, baie dankie vir hierdie geleentheid om op 'n simboliese manier 'n paar woorde te sê en dan nog meer 'n paar woorde te doen. vertelde storie oor die intreerhede en oorhandiging van die soort van werksaamhede aan 'n nuwe rektor. Is vir my 'n besondere eer nie omdat dit die einde van die era is nie, maar juis die uitnodiging na 'n nuwe tafel wat gedek word. Die heerlike feesmaal van akademiese uitnemendheid en 'n nuwe seisoen van leierskap. When we think about universities, we tend to think about issues like intellect and tradition and research, but I would love to suggest today at this very particular event to think about universities as a garden. 'n Tuin is 'n lewende ekostelsel, dit groei, dit pas aan, dit oorleef, dit verander, die plant bome, partykeer val 'n boom om en dan groei daar iets nuuts waar die boom omgeval het, storms baie stukke weg, baie nuwe saad in, nuwe goed kom op, grond skuif, nuwe lewe kom soms op onverwagte plekke na vore. It's the same with universities. Together with the church, I would say that universities are perhaps the most resilient institutions in the whole world. Universities survived wars, pandemics, technological revolutions, political problems, change in policies, you can name it. So wat die universiteite merkwaardig maak is hulle veerkragtigheid. Maar die geheim lê bietjie dieper as dit. Nicolas Taleb noem dit hulle anti-broosheid, anti-fragility. Anti-broos oorleef nie net skop nie, dit word sterker waar daar skop is. Dit vind nuwe maniere om te floreer waar dinge ontwrig is. Dit is wat ek by die Grote College gesien het, dit het iewers diep ingebed in ons geskiedenis. Die roemryke, meer as 'n eeuwlange geskiedenis van die Grote College bestaan telkens ontwrigting, oorloë, krisisse, dinge wat gedink het, dit bring die plek op sy of haar knieë, dan was dit maar net 'n verandering wat nuwe energie gebring het. Hoër onderwys het al in die tyd verskriklik baie verander en gaan waarskynlik, miskien hoor ons iets daarvan in opvolgers se intreerhede, gaan waarskynlik ook 'n tydperk van geweldige verandering binne. En tog, ongeag al hierdie veranderinge, het die Grote College se welige tuin nou vrugte dra. Studente opgelewer, wat nie net een of ander kwalifikasie gekry het, maar wat gevorm is, voorberei is, om dit moed by te dra tot ons land se samelewing en gemeenskap. Soos ek nou vandag klaarmaak, en die tuinierse oorpak by wyse van spreuke uittrek, is dit nie soos iemand wat die hek agter hom toesluit nie, soos iemand wat eerder die werktyd neersit en plek maak vir iemand anders om dit op te neem. Want onthou, 'n tuin is nooit die werk van een arbeider, of een seisoen, of een persoon. Dit is 'n voortdurende daad van geloof en samewerking, versorging en hoop. Vandag verwelkom ons 'n nuwe tuinier, ons nuwe rektor. Sy tree nou in as versorger, versamelaar, een wat snoei, wat luister, wat bemes, sodat elke deel van hierdie lewende ekosisteem tot reg kan kom. Die toekoms gaan van haar baie deernis en durfwerk. Maar ek is vol vertroue dat hierdie tyd onder haar sorg sal floreer. Dalk in nuwe rigtings, met onbekende nuwe plante en spesies wat floreer, maar altyd met diep wortels, sodat dit ruim skade weerstrooi vir almal wat hier kom leer, en kom onderrig word en onderrig en dien. Kom ons dek dan vanmiddag die tafel vir die nuwe hoofstuk. Dankbaarheid vir dit wat was, maar met hoop wat kom ook. As ek dan nou die kurse toegaan, oorhandig gelaas het, soos dit tuinierse oorpak geniet.
is the very Dutch Reformed Church. Should I speak? My apologies. The very Dutch Reformed Church, where Andrew Murray was a revivalist, author, long-serving minister of the Dutch Reformed Congregation in Wellington from 1871 until his death in 1917. He played a key role in establishing institutions such as the Legal Seminary for Girls in 1873. This institution laid the foundation for what would later become Huguenot College. He was not merely a minister of a local congregation. He was a nation-shaping soul, whose faith and leadership helped lay the foundations for Christian higher education, mission training, and female empowerment in South Africa. Today I stand in front of you as part of his legacy and the first female rector of this institution. But this moment is not mine alone. It belongs to those who came before me, mentors who held the torch of integrity, colleagues who walked the long road of justice, and students who challenged me to keep learning. It belongs to those who labor quietly behind the scenes, and to the people of this land, this country, whose resilience is our inheritance. With my title, Rooted for Public Good, Reimagining Integrity, Justice and Service in Private Higher Education, I've structured the address around 5 interwoven pillars or focuses, each rooted in our calling as a higher education institution, and each echoing a deeper invitation. The first one is my legacy and my roots. I began by honouring the past, the soil from which Huguenot College grew, the visionaries who shaped it, and the relationships that hold me upright today. My second pillar is my worry and concern about the erosion of integrity. I will reflect on the contemporary crisis of trust and fragmentation that call us back to wholeness, where our teaching, research, leadership and relationships align in integrity. Number 3 is my understanding of the unfinished work in justice, where I will turn to justice not as a slogan, but as a lived ethic that restores dignity, centers Indigenous knowledge, and places students as co-creators of a better future. 4th, I believe service is a sacred act. Service is not a task, but a vocation. And this focus, I reflect on ethical service delivery in a broken society and the role of higher education in forming servant leaders. And then my vision for the future. Finally, I want to offer you this afternoon a vision for Huguenot College. One where integrity is lived, justice is pursued, service is sacred, and education is not managed, but lived as a calling. My roots. I always start my personal introduction, and people who know me will recognize it, with the following Gestalt saying: I am in relation, and I'm always in configuration. This means that I will not be the same person I was when I stepped into this building 13 minutes ago. I will live as a different person, newly configured by the relations and connections with you as my audience. For the past 35 years, higher education has been my home. And this is where I relate. This is how I configure. Among my guests are the people dearest and closest to my heart: my parents, Ruth and Annie Skuman, my sisters Annelie and Annette, my children Francois, Agatha, Joa and Adam, and my dear husband, the love of my life, In this tiny group of people who anchor my identity and who ensure that I will always keep upright. Thank you. Upright to take this road from my predecessor and start the new season of Huguenot College. I started my studies in 1986 at the University of Pretoria as a Story Art social work student. Some of the class of 89 are sitting here today. Thank you, Piet and Adela, Karen and Gerard, for the long walk alongside me. Also my dear friends, Galia, Antoinette, Ilse and Dani, always just a phone call away. Huguenot College is not just a place of learning. It is a soil in which lives are planted and futures cultivated. 25 years ago, I took up a position at this very same college with a mandate to teach, train and make a difference. Today, this cycle returns to a point of origin. Today, as I take on the leadership of this extremely special address, Huguenot College, I do so not as one who has all the answers, but one who believes in the sacredness of questions. I want to honor those who help me asking the right questions and seek for the ever-elusive answers. This includes the colleagues from Huguenot College since 2000, and I know some of you are sitting here. Thank you for coming. My CCYF 18, sitting here today and who never left my side. And my Northwest University colleagues who gave me the fertile soil to prepare for this role. All here this afternoon, you gave me the shade to flourish, to grow, to identify and to embed my academic persona. Thank you. The one question I could continue to ask is this: what does it truly mean to lead with integrity, to pursue justice and to serve with excellence? My answer is often rhetorical, at times shadowed by disillusionment and unfortunately, frequently obscured by complexity, leading me to my second pillar, an effort to contextualize integrity. This concerns to me reflect the erosion of integrity. We are living in what may be described as a time of frame, a period marked by a gradual unraveling of the social, moral and institutional fabric that once held our societies together. The seams of trust stitched with great care by past generations are loosening. Institutions once flawless are now met with suspicion. Leaders are applauded not for virtue, but for volume. And in many spaces, academic, political, as well as corporate, in contemporary discourse, the term integrity is increasingly regarded as quaint, perhaps even naive. Yet, as my mentor often reminded me, academic integrity remains a self-evident truth, a fait succinct. It is the cornerstone of higher education. Nevertheless, recent data reveal troubling trends, both in South Africa and globally, that challenge our commitment to this foundational principle. At a well-known public university in South Africa, over 1,400 cases of academic dishonesty were under investigation as of April 2024, with postgraduate students comprising a significant portion of these cases. This surge underscores the challenges faced by institutions in upholding academic standards. The retraction of scientific articles was placed under the spotlight when a first-of-its-kind analysis by the scientific journal Nature reveals which institutions are retraction hotspots. Luckily, there was no South African university on that list. The ramifications of such breaches are profound. They include loss of public trust, wastage of research funds, potential harm to patients in clinical studies, and the propagation of false information that can misguide future research. For instance, the case of Joachim Bolt, a German medical practitioner involved the retraction of over 200 papers due to data falsification and fabrication, leading to significant setbacks in the medical research field. Yet I contend, let this never be true of us. Even as we sense that integrity has never been more at risk, we must remain steadfast. As academics, we are not merely curators of knowledge. We are custodians of character. If the world is losing its moral compass, then we are called to serve as true north. To walk with integrity is not to pursue perfection, but to strive for wholeness. The emolification root of integrity, the Latin integre, meaning whole, reminds us of this calling. We are not meant to be fragmented or performative, but integrated in our being and practice. Our beliefs, actions, research, and teachings must be aligned with our character. It will be my mandate to strengthen an institution that not only articulates its values, but embodies them through visible, coherent, and consistent practices across all areas of its offerings. Such alignment is the hallmark of true integrity. It is what transforms the community from fracture to whole. It starts with education. This integration reflects the classical pedagogy of ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos, pathos, and logos. Character, conviction, and reason. Working in harmony to shape an academic community of authenticity, and purpose. When curriculum reflects core values, where research serves the common good, where community engagement is central, not peripheral, where leadership and governance embodies the values of the institution, staff and student culture embodies the ethos, and there's alignment that's measured and reviewed. And so I ask my second question. If integrity is more than policy and more than performance, if it is about alignment across belief, action, research, and teaching, what practical steps must we take to ensure that the culture of our institutions reflects this wholeness, especially in environments where fragmentation is the norm? What I can report, I have seen integrity in the student who reports their own error. I have seen it in a lecturer who refuses to cut ethical concerns. I have seen it in rural communities where a promise still holds the weight of an oath. And I have seen it in the last 2 months in this very college, in the quiet, daily faithfulness of people. Let this be a place where integrity is not just taught in classrooms. It is lived in our corridors, offices, and every decision we make. Let us be known for only for what we know, but also for what we stand for. This leads me to my third pillar, the unfinished work of justice. I state, integrity on its own is not enough. It must point somewhere, and it must point towards justice. Justice is not an abstract ideal. It has a face. It resides in townships, in rural schools, and in the hearts of children who still await their opportunity. Social justice is not only a protest against what's wrong, it is a proposition of what is right. In South Africa, we are all too familiar with the pain of injustice. We have lived through systems that dehumanized, divided, and dispossessed. We cannot pretend to be neutral. As an academic institution grounded in theology, social work, and education, we are called to a prophetic voice, to name injustice and to nurture equity. This is not political. This is deeply ethical. It is spiritual. It is human. In social justice studies on curricula for bachelor studies, one of my PhD students, Dr. Leandi Erasmus, concluded that our classrooms must become sanctuaries where every student, regardless of background, feels seen, heard, and valued. The research amplified not only the voices of the powerful, but also the importance of deconstructing this powerful disrespect and undignifying practices that sometimes emerge in teaching and learning. Therefore, every curriculum should reflect the footprint of Africa and tell the story of our shared heritage, unlocking the wisdom of indigenous knowledge, truth born of this land, carried through intergenerational legacies of what we know to be right and wrong, and holding the key to healing, justice, and sustainable living. When we speak of social justice, we do not only talk about equity and policy. We speak of restoring dignity, healing brokenness, and opening doors that have been long shut. This leads me to a question I believe we must all grapple with. In a context still healing from deep historical pain, how can our curriculum across all disciplines be intentionally designed to restore dignity, reflect indigenous knowledge systems, and ensure that no student remains unseen or unheard? And so I envision a college where justice is not a module, it is a mindset. It is not only written curricula, it is embedded in being, where our theology challenges exclusion, our psychology embraces trauma with care, our social work dismantles cycles of harm, and our governance embodies fairness. This is where students as co-creators of knowledge plays a pivotal role. Students are not merely recipients of knowledge, they are co-creators of understanding and of transformation, and vital partners in shaping the future of higher education. It is, after all, their future, a future of service to communities. My fourth pillar, I see service as a sacred act. Nowhere in justice more tested than in the spaces of service delivery in the social sector. We know our beloved country is weary. Basic services, water, electricity, road sanitation often fail the very people they were meant to uplift. It is not merely about budgets or broken pipes or no electricity. It is about dignity. When a child cannot study because there is no light, or a mother walks kilometers for water or bread, we are dealing not only with logistical failure but moral urgency. Ligoneta College has the capacity to train leaders who understand that governance is not about power, it is about people. Therefore, we accept the challenge to educate a generation that will not accept mediocrity, one that sees public service as sacred and knows that service delivery is not just technical, it is ethical. Before I move towards my vision of the future, let me leave you with a question. How do we cultivate in our students and ourselves a vision of service that transcends technical delivery and embodies ethical commitment, especially in a society where public trust is eroding and apathy often replaces action? How do we do that? Let us graduates show us the way. Let us graduates be not only qualified but also truly understands the essence of compassionate connection. Not only skilled but also accountable. Let our alumni take up roles in local government, civil society and NGOs with the understanding that every small act of service is a great act of justice. Because service delivery, when done with care, becomes deliverance. From apathy to engagement, from despair to hope, from exclusion to belonging. Ever more, ever fuller, ever truer. What is my vision for the future? So what kind of institution do I want to lead? I want to lead one where integrity is our foundation, one where justice is our compass, one where service is our offering. In the landscape of South African higher education, private institutions such as Huguenot College often walk a delicate line between sustainability and purpose. On the one hand, we face market-driven pressures, rising costs, competitive enrollment, and no access to state subsidies or state bursary funds for our students. On the other, we are called to be mission-driven, to serve communities, not consumers, to form character, not merely credentials. This tension is not a weakness, but an opportunity to reimagine our role not as an alternative to public education, but as a complementary force of equity, transformation, and public good. Private higher education must no longer be perceived as elite or exclusionary. We must challenge the perception by addressing issues of access, affordability, and relevance. By reaching rural students, offering context-driven curricula, and building bridges together with under-resourced communities. We must advocate for more inclusive funding models while remaining accountable to the sacred trust placed in us to educate not for profit, but for purpose. At Huguenot College, I accept this challenge, not only to survive the constraints of the system, but to transform it from within. At the heart of our vision lies a commitment to the public good, a concept that, in the context of higher education, speaks to the collective benefit of society beyond individual gain. As Armataya Sen reminds us in her work Development as Freedom, education should enhance human capabilities and expand real freedoms, especially for those historically deprived from them. Nancy Fraser challenged us to recognize justice as recognition and participation, ensuring that all people, especially the marginalized, have an equal voice in shaping our shared future. The public good demands that universities operate not in isolation of self-interest, but as institutions of democratic possibility, fostering equity, critical thinking, and community well-being. For Huguenot College, this means anchoring our scholarship in terms and themes that respond to societal need. Poverty, violence, healing, faith, pastoral care, ethics, resilience. And conducting this not just on, but with communities. It means selecting and supporting students not only for academic promise, but for their potential to lead in places where leadership is desperately needed. It means designing curricula that reflects both local wisdom and global insight, curricula that develop competence as well as conscience. And it means cultivating alumni networks that act not for or as privileged pipelines, but as circles of service, Graduates who give back, who reach back, and who hold the line of integrity where it matters most. In South Africa, we envision the envisionment for South Africa for all. We must resist the impulse towards self-preservation and instead embrace a deep commitment to purpose. Our graduates must depart not merely with degrees, but with a clear sense of mission. We must model the principles we seek to instill for them. We will also embrace interdisciplinarity, drawn insight and strength from theology, social work education, social innovation, and community engagement. Our Christian heritage will not serve as a boundary, but as an open invitation to love more profoundly, to serve more generously, and to lead with greater courage. Our vision is also enriched by our international and continental partnerships, such as those with universities of applied science, theological seminaries, and international private institutions with the same ethos as ours. These relationships are not merely academic exchanges, they are mutual learning communities that shape and sharpen our commitment to transformation at home. Furthermore, we are committed to transdisciplinarity, collaboration, engaging with government not as a distant observer or critics, but as a co-laborer in pursuit of the common good. We will uplift the rural, the marginalized, and the forgotten, not as an act of charity, but because they are part of our shared humanity and responsibility. At the heart of this vision lies our Christian identity, not as a doctrine to be defended, but as a living witness to justice, mercy, and humble leadership. These are not just spiritual imperatives, they are academic ones. They shape how we teach, how we govern, and how we engage the world beyond our campus. In a world that often separates faith from public responsibility, we are called to integrate spirituality and faith with action, to ensure our scholarship is not only excellent but ethical, not only credible but compassionate. In this way, Ignoto College becomes more than an institution, it becomes a moral presence. I want to leave you with a final question, somewhat personal. What kind of future might we co-create if each of us, in our own sphere of influence, dare to reimagine education not as a system to be managed, but as a calling to be lived, with integrity as our foundation, justice as our compass, and service as our offering. My benediction to you this afternoon. There is an old African proverb that says, where the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. Huguenot College has deep roots, rooted in faith, rooted in justice, rooted in learning. And through the winds in our academic landscape may blow, winds of change, of doubt, of challenge, we will not be uprooted. We will bend, yes, but we will rise again wiser and more fruitful. Let us then walk upright, teach with truth, lead with courage, serve with joy. And may the students who pass through these doors leave not only with knowledge in their minds, but fire in their hearts and purpose in their stride. Like Andrew Murray's famous quote, the highest education is that which does not merely give us knowledge, but develops character, strengthens faith, and teaches us to live for others. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die gaste vir die warme applaus aan Prof. Rita Bloem for the thought-provoking address that she addressed us with. It's a reflection for myself on two things, scientia and sapientia, that we desperately need, science and wisdom. Thank you, Prof. Dit is nou my voorrecht om vir Dr. Elna van Schlicht na vore te roep om haar refleksie op Prof. Rita Bloem se intrede te kom gee. Dr. van Schlicht is die uitvoerende burgemeester van die Kaapse Wynland-distrik. Dok, ek moet ook net op rekord plaas dat hy die burgemeester is van die mooiste streek in die wêreld en dit belyn so mooi met wat ons doen by die Ignote College, want ons spesialiseer ook in wêreldklas. Baie dankie.
Professor Bloem, chairperson of the board, outgoing rector, all other protocol observed, and to everybody, all esteemed guests in the church room this afternoon. This is for me a profound honor to congratulate you, may I say Rita, because we also come a long way together. I really congratulate you with your appointment as the rector of the Huguenot College. It is a personal achievement, and the congratulations also go to your dear husband, your love of your life, your mother, your sisters, and your children. Congratulations once again. Congratulations also, Professor Bloem, with your inauguration speech. It was a critical and a very relevant set of viewpoints that you've shared with us all this afternoon. And for me, it is also an honor to, as a member of the broader community, make a few comments. It will not be most academic, but it will be comments from the broader community. It is really an honor for me to do that. I would like to start, Professor Bloem, with just trying to set the scene for what I'm going to share with you as my comments. From a local government perspective, we observe and experience on a daily, nearly on an hourly basis, that we live in an ever-changing and a fast-changing environment and community. We all are witnesses to that. In American warfare terms, we can refer to the so-called VUCA times that we live in, meaning the V stands for volatile. Volatility refers to a rapid and unpredictable change in the external environment. The U in VUCA stands for uncertainty. Uncertainty refers to the difficulty in predicting future trends and events. It's really not possible to predict what's going to happen next. Complexity in the VUCA, when you see complexity, refers to the interplay of various factors and variables that affect decisions on a daily basis. The complexity. The last letter, the A stands for ambiguity, and that refers to a lack of clarity about meaning or cause. And that was a golden line through your speech, that so many things are unclear. There are so few pillars that we can cling to taking us forward. So it's against this VUCA background that I have studied Professor Bloem's address, and I'm glad, Professor Bloem, to make a few comments which I think represent a snapshot of the experiences and the narrative in our broader community. When starting to address the content, Professor Bloem, you argue with reference to three main concepts in my mind, of which the first one is the erosion of integrity. It is indeed a very clear statement that, in your own words, and I quote, there is a gradual unraveling of the social, the moral, and the institutional fabric that once held our societies together. And I close the quotation. It is in this context of unraveling of integrity that established institutions such as the Huguenot College should take bold steps in portraying its values. Exactly what you said and what you shared with us this afternoon. But also in its curriculum, underlining and emphasizing the role, the value, the virtue of integrity as a foundational value for integrous communities. It was also mentioned by Professor Bloem that integrity a building stone towards wholeness, which is what our area, our province, our country, and indeed the world, and the profession of social work is in dire need of. I challenge the Huguenot College Chairperson to unpack options to build on the value of integrity, which should be a North Star for every citizen and the profession of social work. Integrity as a North Star. Secondly, Professor Bloom refers to the role of justice. We are confronted daily with the absence of justice in our communities. From a social work perspective, we have been listening to the shocking injustice towards the little girl Jocelyn Smith the past few days and the past months as well. In this regard, I would also like to challenge Professor Bloom to, as the newly appointed rector of an influential academic institution, take a brave and a convincing stance of opposing all forms of injustices in our communities and to make your stance also known in the communities. Number three, your third and last element in my mind, which I would like to respond to and which was highlighted, is the one of service. We live in a time of servant leadership. I'm not sure that we all really grasp the meaning of servant leadership. Service rendering, partnerships, and professional cooperation, like you've mentioned, to contribute to building a better, a more sustainable, and a more effective and dignified community, whilst living in real VUCA times. Professor Bloom, again, a challenge to your leadership and to the leadership of the board of the Huguenot College to actively embrace the role of making your product, which is knowledge, available, accessible, and relevant to the broader community. Like you do, there's also room for improvement, and to deliver products who are truly prepared to take up their professional role and work in partnerships to enhance not only the influence of the Huguenot College, but also the influence of the profession of social work in the broader integrous communities. I have a few minutes to do this, Professor Bloom, so I would like to conclude to say, Professor Bloom, I wish you in your position an amazing term in office. Ek wens vir jou die college om opwindend 'n nuwe pad vorentoe. Dit sal nie fees sal verander. Ek wens dat jy ook 'n verskil sal maak wat sigbaar is in die jare vorentoe. Nou wil ek graag vir jou 'n laaste oorhandiging gee. As ek net van daardie goue posisie vir my te bring. Professor Bloom, there is a tradition in this town, and it was started by Andrew Murray himself many years ago, and you started your address with referring to Dr. Andrew Murray. This is a tradition, and I see one incident in the gallery. This is a tradition, Professor Bloom, that's mainly maintained by the Huguenot High School, which also is a branch of Andrew Murray's influence in this town. So it goes that when you served in education for more than 20 years, then you get to access a very exclusive club. And today I'm inviting you to be part of that club. That is the Builders of the Huguenot. There is a book written, The Builders of the Huguenot. This book is completely out of print. It no longer exists. This is mine. But I've made you a copy, and I would like the program manager to hand this over to you. As from today, Professor Bloom is also a builder of the Huguenot.
Thank you, Dr. Van Schlicht. Next we have Mrs. Claudine Boysen, who is part of the Huguenot College Student Representative Council, or the SRC, elected for the term 2025 and 2026, who will give her reflections on behalf of the students at the Huguenot College that she's here to represent. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
distinguished guests, faculty members, fellow students, and all of the Ignote friends. Today I rise with both gratitude and great responsibility to respond on behalf of the student body to the powerful inaugural lecture delivered by our new rector, Prof. Rita Bloem. Rooted for public good is not just a title. It is a challenge to all of us, especially to those of us who are still growing our roots here at Ignote College. Prof. Bloem, today you have grounded us in story, your own story, the college's story, and South Africa's unfinished story, and we thank you. However, as students of today's generation, our stories are also deeply shaped by the legacies that have walked before us, and we want to begin there. I've had the honor and the privilege to have worked under two of previous rectors and seen them in the passages of where I've worked before. The first one was now Dr. Willie van der Merwe, as I call him, your predecessor. And he reminded us in his theological and diaconal vision that the church, and by extension its academic institutions, must live met woord en daad in diens van God. I've had the honor of seeing this in practice at the Synodale Commissie vir Diens van Barmhartigheid. This radical commitment to both speech and action resonates with us as young people who are tired of words that carry no weight. In the current era, students are not looking for performance, we are looking for presence. The kind that steps into injustice, poverty, mental health struggles, and gender inequality, not with charity, but with solidarity. And then there was Prof. Nelis Niman, who declared in his first interview as a rector, ek het hom opsoek, met die kerkbode, and he said, ek sien dit as 'n geleentheid om 'n grondslag vir 'n akademiese instelling te lê wat gemeenskapsverruiming tot gevolg sal hê. 'n Instelling wat agente vorm wat uiteindelik die wêreld 'n beter plek kan maak. We hear the challenge not to be consumers of knowledge, but creators of change, agents of impact. Prof, your words reminded us that legacy is not something we inherit, it's something you choose to carry. As students, we walk these grounds not unaware of our past, but informed by it. Back then, they used to call the Ignote students the Liggies van Wellington, and I hold to that. We walk as beneficiaries of Andrew Murray's vision, but we also walk as the children of a democratic South Africa and the generation shaped by a global pandemic. We walk with the scars of isolation and the strength of survival. In response to your first pillar, Prof. Bloem, you spoke of integrity as wholeness, as alignment between what we believe and how we live. As students, we feel the tension deeply. In a world where academic pressure collides with economic struggle, where the temptation to cut corners is often matched by the fear of falling behind, integrity is not a simple choice, it's a daily decision. We are the generation born at the edge of apartheid's end and raised in the storms of transition. Then came COVID-19, a pandemic that blurred the lines between school and home, connection and isolation, honesty and survival. In a critical time, we stood under the leadership of Professor Niman. We studied through data struggles and power cuts. We wrote exams in rooms filled with chaos, with younger siblings crying, with hunger gnawing at our focus, and yet we pressed on, and many of us still do. So when you say, let us be known not only for what we know, but for what we stand for, I hear a cry rallying for academic spaces that understand the complexity of our lives, not to lower the standard, but to walk with us toward excellence that includes empathy. Let us build a culture of integrity that is not built on fear, but on purpose. A culture where asking for help is seen as strength, and where vulnerability is part of growth. On your second term,
Justice is not a chapter in a textbook. It's what we look for when we choose where to study, where we work, and how we live. So, when Prof. Bloom speaks of justice as a mindset, not a module, I say, yes, let us decolonize our curriculum, not just with African content, but with African values. Let us have lecturers who pronounce our names correctly, who teach us in ways that reflect our realities, and who honor our knowledge, not only what we learn in class, but what we bring with us from our communities. Let our classrooms be spaces of restoration, where mental health is prioritized, where trauma is not minimized, and where excellence and equity walk hand in hand. On your third burner, Prof, your words about service truly made an indelible mark. Because we have grown up watching the promise of service delivery become a punchline. Load shedding is not just an inconvenience, it's the reason someone missed an online exam. Dry taps are not just a technical error, they're the reason a student can't wash or shower before an interview or class. Broken systems are not abstract, they break people. But even as we rage at the failures of public systems, we also have hope. Many of us chose to study here at Community College because we believe in service. We want to be social workers who heal trauma. We want to be development practitioners who bring clean water, working infrastructure, and restore dignity to rural towns. We want to be pastors who stand at the margins, not above them. And we want to be educators that help to shape and mold young, inquisitive, generation-changing minds. So yes, we need skills, but more than that, we need soul. We need formation. We need lecturers who model ethical leadership, not just teach it. We need mentorships that teach us to balance excellence with humility and theory with lived compassion. And we need space to practice service, not just in simulations or assignments, but in the real communities with real accountability and real impact. And I think the Huguenot College really has a beautiful history of doing that with students. On your fourth pillar, your vision is not yours alone. It is ours too. You speak of a college that is rooted but not stuck, that is Christian but not exclusionary, that is academic but not divorced from the grassroots. We want to help build that college. A place where student voices are not performative but powerful. Where student leadership is genuinely trained, developed, empowered, and relied upon, rather than simply symbolic. Where all students, whether differently abled or from marginalized backgrounds, find not just tolerance, but a radical belonging. Where every orientation week, every curriculum review, every policy document is co-created with students, not for compliance, but for community. In closing, you close with an African proverb, where the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. Allow me to offer one more, spoken oftentimes in terms of resistance and revolution. It says, they tried to bury us, they didn't know we were seeds. Students are seeds planted in hardship, watered with struggle, reaching toward light. May this college be our soul. May integrity be the water. May justice be the sunlight. And may our service be the wind that spreads our potential across the country. Thank you, Prof. Bloom, for your courage to lead. And thank you for listening not only to our applause, but to our questions. For allowing words like unlearning and reverse mentoring to blossom and bear fruit. And in the words of Reverend Avril Risk, the previous CEO of Benisa, in every opening ceremony he used to say, mag u bloem waar u geplant is. We stand ready to walk with you, rooted, rising, reimagining. Thank you.
Al wat de mens kan sê powerful. Thank you, Claudine Boysen. Last, ladies and gentlemen, we have Professor Marisha van der Westhuizen. Professor Marisha van der Westhuizen is the head of the Social Work Department at the University of the Western Cape, which is also my alma mater. It's always good to connect with UWC, and it's particularly good to make your acquaintance. We are looking forward to hearing your reflections. Thank you.
Okay, so today I'm watching and I see people, and there are so many memories flooding through my mind right now. Rita, I am going to start my speech soon, but I want to say congratulations. Dear Madam Rector, Professor Bloom, Rita Lynch, I have known her for now decades, and both of us worked at the Infanta College at different times, and we both left to join the public universities, and here you are today. I'm the rector of Infanta College. I was sitting here the whole time with a smile on my face because I was trying to imagine what Andrew Murray would have said today. And I don't know what he would have said, but I do think he wished he knew that while he was struggling for the plights of vulnerable girls and women. If somebody could only have told him, just hang on, a girl in 2025 will leave this college with the values that you need. So with that being said, when we look at the world around us today, I can imagine, you also mentioned, that sometimes we're disillusioned and we think, what's the purpose? Is it at all possible? And I think this is the speech where we know why we cannot give up. But it's also my reference now to what would Andrew Murray have said. That is my answer. This man looked at the world of that time. He saw the plight of vulnerable and marginalized people, and he fought a fight. And today, I think, is the proof of course, it's possible. I am looking at colleagues, seeing faces that I haven't seen in many years, and I know the journeys that some of us took, where the roads we traveled, and the little bit of difference we are trying to make. I'm looking right there at a product of the college, doing magical work out there. This college has the foundations, it does have the roots. And looking back on your presentation, I think what stands out for me is the reimagination. It does not mean that the college has not done its share, but it's looking at the world the way it looks right now, and then say, okay, what now? How now? While you were presenting, I realized, I did not write it down, but I did realize that now is the time, that we really have to talk about the past, but much more about the present, and what is required right now to address what is wrong right now. And I think this is the perfect place. Your decision to focus on reimagining, on integrity, on justice, and on service is spot on, but also timeless. The lecture does not only mark your vision as the new leader. Professor Bloom made a commitment. She made statements that translated into commitments. And she made a commitment to lead while being guided by integrity, which also translates in honesty and authenticity, justice, and service. She boldly addresses the challenge, or the challenging epistemological question of how do we know what we know is the truth. And the moment, you should not get me there, because I have the same in my head, the truth according to, because we hear truths right now that So the truth, according to, I will not say, but some world presidents, business people, social trendsetters, influencers, and even scientists. The truth according to. But now is the time that we, and I use the word we consciously and purposefully, we have to ask, how do we know what is true? How do we know we live according to the truth? Professor Bloom really committed herself this afternoon to uphold this link between integrity or honesty and authenticity in academic administration or management. That does not become management anymore because it is visible in learning and teaching. It's visible in research. It is visible in community engagement and service. She further interrogates what justice would mean, and this unfinished work of justice really grabbed me. Your deep awareness of injustices facing our societies today, and your acknowledgement of the past, and also your reference to unethical and inhumane ways of treatment of people, shows to me, and I'm also aware that you have never been afraid to voice this, a braveness to question injustices, a commitment to honor the African stories, not forgetting the past and what happened and the hurt that was caused, but also not ignoring present injustices and what it is causing. It shows the commitment to lead this college to contribute to positive change where healing can take place, and where sustainable living is not just a word, it is an outcome. Your shared view on service and the reference to the word moral urgency describe how social justice becomes an action through service. All of these concepts, or your pillars, become part of what education is when it's lived. This also pointed out the relevancy of the college in academic fields right now, but also historically. Through these statements that you've made and the commitments that you've made, you reaffirm the college vision, but also its actions to contribute and to live integrity, social justice, economic justice, political justice, environmental justice through its service. So I'm coming from a public university, and at the UWC, historically, the importance of speaking up, questioning any form of injustice has played a central part of our character. This university places high value on ethically sound research and knowledge transfer and then translating into sustainable development as well as social impact. So with that being said and listening to what you were saying, I think this discussion also highlighted the importance of us not standing separately, not working in silos, but that we become partners. We need to start acknowledging our differences as great advantages. Through these collaborations, I foresee that we can share knowledge, we can share skills, we can share the resources. I think both of us are slightly restricted, but we can share what we have. But the main thing is that we can start co-creating a new world where education becomes the first, almost the place where the rubber hits the road. I want to conclude by saying that I really do hope that under your leadership we will really make a concerted effort to start working closer together, and that we use integrity-driven approaches to collaborate towards social impact and making a difference. I have to make a little note. If this is the start and you're really going to do well, I believe so. Your appointment as the rector, Rita, is not only significant acknowledgement or achievement, It is really an affirmation of the work you've done in the higher education domain. I'm so looking forward to work with you, to see more of you, and I believe that your term signifies your commitment and the college's commitment to the cause of co-creating a fair, just and humane society. And for that, I wish you all the best. I do not have a gift.
Thank you, Prof. Mauricio. Dames en heren, ons het beloof dat vanaand 'n waarlike, nog 'n geskiedkundige oomblik in die geskiedenis van die jarenlange bestaan van die Huguenot College sal wees. Die Huguenot College lied. Ja mense, die Huguenot College het 'n lied. Ons gaan nou daarna luister onder die leiding van die organist Johan Enslin en 'n tenor wat die lied vir ons gaan sing. So kom ons sit agteroor en luister en leer die lirieke van ons Huguenot College lied. Baie dankie. Hoor nou net vir Nelis iemand wat sê, dit is 'n mooi lied, dit is waarlik 'n mooi lied, né? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students and colleagues, it has been a sheer blessing for me to host you at this historical moment in the history and the existence of the Huguenot College. Prof. Rita, when you asked me to be the program director, I could not say no. I did not want to say no. And it is a great honor for me to serve your vision for this evening in the way that I could. Many thanks to you for entrusting me with this great responsibility. Aan Dominee Lambert Jacobs, baie dankie vir die seënbede en die wyse waarop u hierdie geleentheid vir ons geopen het. Baie dankie en groete aan die NG gemeente Stellenbosch Noord vanaf die Huguenot College. Aan professor Nelis Riemann, die voorsitter van die seremonie, die teenwoordigheid en die leiding het die geleentheid gepas en uitsonderlik gemaak. Prof. Nelis, vanaand het jy amptelik met toga en al die stokkie oorhandig en ons by die Huguenot College sien uit om foto's te ontvang van u en die vrou wat lekker agteroor lê daar by 'n akademiese eiland. Ons sal agterbly en voortmeer van die eksamen begin volgende week en ons sal aanhou om die Huguenot College naam te groei met die voorbeeld wat op ons agterlaat. Aan Dominee Nelis Jansen van Rensburg, die voorsitter van die direksie van die Huguenot College, dankie vir die verwelkoming en die ondersteuning. Die leiding as die voorsitter van die Huguenot College direksie is sonder twyfel een van die kragpunte vir die groei van die college. Aan ons musikante, die Quartet en die violiste, sowel as Johan Enslin en die solist, baie dankie vir die musiek wat ons siele aangeraak het. To our guest speakers from our various constituents, Dr. Elna van Schlicht, namens die Kaapse Wynland Gemeenskap, mevrou Claudine Boysen, die SR-verteenwoordiger namens die studente, en professor Marishan van der Westhuizen namens die akademiese gemeenskap. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your experiences, your hearts and your hopes for building communities tonight. Your input and your reflections are invaluable and will continue to contribute to the shaping the course in which we will reimagine the public good of private higher education in societies. Dan laastens, baie geluk aan Prof. Rita Bloem. Kan ons weer net vir 'n warme hande. Prof, vanaand is jy, soos die mense sê, amptelik gedruk vanuit Pretoria. Die amptelike rektor van die Huguenot College. Die warme persoonlikheid en die planne om die college na nog hoër hoogtes te vat, maak ons opwindend vir die toekoms. Baie geluk van almal en binne en buite die Huguenot College en die akademiese gemeenskappe. Namens die Huguenot College en professor Rita Bloem wil in die Huguenot College direksie en bestuur 'n spesiale woord van dank aan die personeel van die Huguenot College vir jul loyaliteit, harde werk en omgee. Vir al die redelingskomitee, Lisa Moster, Amorijn van Heerden, Marlene Komberen, Jonita van Skalkwyk en Ishereen Smit, wat in totaliteit verantwoordelikheid vir alles wat ons vanaand hier beleef geneem het. Laastens, gaste soos julle weet, is ons tans in Pinkster en ons sal bitter graag Langebok kuier saam met julle. Maar Prof. Rita nooi vir julle uit om in die nabye toekoms 'n lekker koppie koffie of tee saam met haar te kan drink en dit is meer persoonlik sê sy. En dan vat ons julle sommer op 'n wonderlike toer van die Huguenot College se kampus. Vir nou nooi ons julle uit om aan te bly vir die Pinksterdiens as julle so sou wens. Die Pinksterdiens begin net hierna. Daar is ook paspos vir die wat moet huis toe gaan en daar's baie lekker pannekoeke. Hulle sê dit is so goed soos my ouma se wat vanaf die ACVV Fyngoud Diensentrum te kry sal wees. Baie dankie, thank you very much, en diabolela kakulu en veilige ry. Ek versoek vriendelik alle gaste om te staan vir die ontbinding van die akademiese prosesie, geleid deur die nuwe rektor, Professor Rita Bloem. I would kindly like to request all guests to stand for the dissolving of the academic procession led by our new rector, Professor Rita Bloem. Good night and safe travels.
In my hoedanigheid as rektor van die Huguenot College en namens die direksie en akademiese raad van die Huguenot College verklaar ek hiermee die akademiese prosesie as ontbind.